Yo, what is going on, everyone? It's GentooMan here, also known as Rainy. And today's story time is, man, this is interesting. I don't know how I keep finding myself in these situations, but let's get into it. So there's this girl I work with, right? We're going to call her Alexis for the sake of this video. So Alexis, she was a little bit of an interesting person. I worked with her for quite a little bit there. And yeah, no, she was always fun to work with. She was always a nice person. But she was a little interesting. She was one of those girls. She almost gave pick me girl vibes, but also not quite. And she'd say weird things, and she'd also be like, "Oh, I'm not like the other girls," but then also was like the other girls. But point is, she was a little different, but she was nice. And one thing that she would talk about frequently, because it was a big part of her life, was her boyfriend. She talked about her boyfriend a lot. But as time went on, I guess they sort of drifted apart. Things didn't work out. So eventually she and her boyfriend broke up, and that was a big subject that she'd talk about all the time. So one night she and I were working together, and we were kind of just standing there because I mentioned this in every video. I feel like I say this exact phrase, but so as some of you don't know, or some of you do know, I work at a movie theater, and I was just standing as the usher, where you take tickets and stuff. I was standing there, and she was standing there with me because we were working similar jobs, and she was just going down this whole story of how she and her boyfriend broke up and why. And she gave me the whole lore dump, you guys. She and I are friends with each other, but we're not super close friends, It's we're friends because we see each other at work. We're work friends and hanging out in group kind of friends. We're not one-on-one personal friends, if that makes sense. But she's giving me the entire lore. And to boil it down to make it just simple, pretty much what ended up happening between her and her boyfriend is she felt like she was giving so much to this guy, and he wasn't giving anything back, and she wasn't feeling appreciated, so they ended up breaking up. I mean, fair enough, I can understand that. Yeah, so I never met the boyfriend. I don't know anything about him or how he actually acted. I don't know what's accurate, what's not, but I believe the story. I mean, it doesn't really matter if I don't. I'm rambling here. So they broke up because of that, and apparently the guy was being super clingy and not really willing to let it go. And she said that at one point he called her over and begged her and texted her and called her and was please just come over so we can talk. I have so much need to say to you before we decide to end things, even though they'd already broken up. And so she went over, and he was kind of just well, I don't really know what I need to say. I just wanted to see you. So, he wasn't really willing to let it go. He was really stuck in on this relationship. So about a week goes by from me hearing all this story from Alexis, and we're working together again, but this time we're in the kitchen. We're just, hanging out in the kitchen. She's stationed primarily on popcorn, and I'm cooking the food. And I noticed that she's on her phone a lot. And I didn't ask, but she did bring it up, and she's oh yeah, no, my ex-boyfriend keeps texting me. He's really clingy. He's hard to get rid of. And I asked her oh, well, why don't you block him? She's yeah, I could, and I probably will and should, but there's a little toxic part of me that kind of wants him to be in love with me forever, even though I don't want to be with him. And I'm yeah, that's a little toxic, but you do you, whatever. She kind of laughed it off, kept doing her thing. And eventually she comes up to me. And she comes up to me with her Snapchat, a chat open with this guy. And the guy's asking her to send nudes. And she's what should I do? What should I say to him? Say no? He's your ex-boyfriend, you don't want to be with him? Don't send him nudes. It's a bad idea. She's yeah, you're right. I'll think about how to answer. I'm okay. Because at this point, this is none of my business. And whenever people are asking me these things, especially if I don't know you super, super well, I know Alexis, but I don't know her amazingly. So it's this felt like it was a little out of my business range. I didn't really know how to answer it. So I let her go about her business, and I go to try and put more hot dogs on the grill. But I realized that we're out of hot dogs in the fridge. So I have to go all the way to the back freezer in the back room of the entire building to get them. So I leave the kitchen. I let Alexis know. I'm hey, I'm stepping out of the kitchen. I'm going to get more hot dogs. I'll be right back. She's oh, okay. I'll hold down the fort here. I'm cool. So I go to this freezer to get more hot dogs. And it's like a big, like, it's not one of the freezers where like you open the like door from the top and it opens upwards. It's almost like a fridge, but a freezer. And there's like multiple different doors. So I was standing there, I opened it, and you know the thing when you're like standing in a door frame, you kind of like extend your arm to like balance on the door frame and look inside. This is oddly specific, but I'm explaining this for a reason. You'll see in a second. I was doing that, and I was looking through, looking for the hot dogs, and as I'm looking at the hot dogs, Alexis appears out of nowhere, just slides between me and the fridge, pulls her pants down, sticks her ass like right, at me, in that spot, and I see she has her Snapchat open, and she takes a picture, like one of those pictures, almost like where you take a 0.5 angle, like just head down, make sure she gets her ass in frame, and takes the picture, and like then like moves away and pulls her pants up, and I'm like, what the fuck was that? And she seriously hits me with like, oh, like I needed the picture, I wanted to make my ex-boyfriend jealous, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, please don't do that ever again. She starts apologizing. She's like, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't want to make you uncomfortable. Like, I'm sorry. This is like super weird, but this is just kind of how I like deal with these things. I'm like, that's cool. That's cool if this is how you deal with things. But please don't do that ever again. That made me very uncomfortable. And I'm in a relationship, a committed relationship, and I don't really want anything to do. Like, basically, I kind of explained to her, like, I'm not trying to like be part of that, right? I'm committed. I'm not doing this type of shit with other girls, and I asked her to please not do that. And she's like, oh, okay, no, that's like totally fine. Like, I know you have a girlfriend. I'm sorry. Like, that's why I kind of hovered, like I didn't fully touch you, as if that makes it fucking better. And yeah, she was like super apologetic. I'm like, it's fine. It's cool. I'm not going to like make a deal out of it. Just please don't do anything like that ever again. She's like, yeah, no, like totally. I'm so sorry. And she kind of went back to the kitchen. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. The rest of the night was quite awkward. It was very, very awkward working with her after that little encounter. We did end up kind of making like light of it and like joking about it. But I was very stern with the fact that I really don't want her to ever do that ever again. So yeah, that's that story. Moral of the story number 1 is don't send nudes to your ex. That's stupid. I don't know why you'd ever do that. Second moral of the story, a more important one, never put someone in that type of situation if you are not 100% sure you have their consent. Like, I'm not trying to sound like the teacher here and be like, okay, guys, today we're going to learn about consent. Like, we all know what consent is. It just is important. And she probably wasn't thinking. I'm not going to like sue her or anything. I understand where her brain was at, but made it clear, wasn't wanting to be part of that. She respected that just as everyone else should. All right, this is my little like PSA announcement over consent good, not consent bad. You guys know what the fuck I'm talking about. Anyways, to end this story time on a fucking abysmal note like that one, I mean, good note, good message, but it's not really what you clicked on this video for, I'm sure. But that's going to do it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave a like if you did. Subscribe if you're new. Y'all know the fucking drill at this point. At least I hope so. I love you all so much. Thank you for watching, and I'm going to try and upload more frequently. Thank you all so much for sticking with me, and I'll catch you in the next one. Later.